15 books in translation, absolutely tops, possibly fewer. They are, I'm very, very proud of them, but they are mostly from Western Europe. So from France, let's think, Norway, Holland, Italy. I think that's really the limit of as far as we've gone. If I think back to my own childhood, books in translation were a huge part of it. From Baba and Madeleine, to Emile and the Detectives, Heidi, I Am David. I don't know how many people these books will mean something to, but the Moomins, Tintin, Asterix, these were my life. And if you broaden the sort of notion of translation further and think about Greek myths and stories from Grimm and Perrault and Hans Christian Andersen, we would have none of those stories were not for translation, and they are such a huge part of our culture and the culture of all children, I would argue, in the UK.
Hi, I'm Shereen. I'm from Lebanon. I publish children's books in Arabic. You know the Arab word shows one language, which is Arabic, by 320 million. So supposedly it's a big market for us, but it's not. I've been publishing for the past 14 years. And I've done my master's in children's literature in the UK, and I'm doing research and publishing in Oxford Books and also UK. So I have a bit of an experience from the UK and from Lebanon and the Arab. They asked us to say why we think our books are great. Yeah, they are. For me, they're very nice. And I think the Arab word is different. And there's always a stereotype about the Arabs and camels and deserts and stuff like that. And maybe some of the books might show that we have a lot of common things, and the Arab world is a big place, and it's a bit different from every country.
Fox follows him to find out what's so special about this home, and when on the way she meets various other animals, the bear, the wolf, the boar who's rolling in mud. And they all have their own verses, and they all say, oh, home, who cares about home? You know, food's the most important thing. I'll give my home up for anyone. So at the end, you have this great speech by Hedgemond, the main character, where he says that it doesn't matter how humble your home is, that it's still your home and you should look after it. So, although this is a story from Southeast Europe, I think everybody in the world has this feeling about their home, so it's a very international moral, and that's the first book in, I hope, a line of children's book that Istos will be publishing.
Turkish children's books market, because Alexander asked me the proportion of the translated books. Maybe at the first slide you can see how many titles. Last year, at the data of ISBN, new titles of the children's books, and you can see 6,345 new titles, and 1,815 of published children's books are translated books. Next slide, please. You can see the proportions. English, the first one, and then French, Spanish, German, Italian, and Swedish. You can see. And yeah, this is the first titles that I want to give some information. This is my own stories. I'm a publisher, also I'm a writer, children's book writer, and also I study on children's literature academically.
Who would buy the rights or the editor in any UK publishing house? And if you do, there are very specific things, and the language is, like the Arabic is not a very common language, so I think it's one of the main obstacles that might stand in our way. So I think just going there is very hard. And even when you're in an international book fair like Frankfurt, Bologna, London, through a ministry stand or a com stand, you're rarely approached by an English publisher who wants to look at the books or know the story or listen to it.
Which countries have you had your books translated?
We've had it. We had a book about war. It has been translated to several European and other languages. But it was done through a Belgian publisher, and the illustrations were changed because you know the idea of changing a book and how they see things. Another perspective.
That's interesting. Yes. What about you, Susan?
Well, before I set up Mistress Books, I had already translated this book. So I did have some experience of trying to find publishers for it. And I didn't quite know, I kept changing my mind about what track to take, because first of all I wrote to publishers saying, oh, this is a story much loved in Yugoslavia, and you know, it's on the school curriculum in Croatia and things like that. And then I got a very negative response. I see someone shaking their head now, wasn't a good idea. And I thought, oh, right, well maybe that's not good, because they're going to think, oh, that's very obscure, you know, we don't want a book from Yugoslavia, doesn't exist anymore, etc., all the problems to do with that. And so then I thought, oh, right, well, I'm not even going to say where it's from. I'm just going to send it as a story. You know, this is a lovely story, written in rhyme about a hedgehog, charmer, etc. Again, I didn't really get anywhere with that. And I think partly, that's what you said, of not really knowing who to target, perhaps. And also, there was the same situation when I tried to get the rights, as because I also translated this book. So I think that the people who I asked for the rights, I got a reply of something like, who are you? Or something, you know, because I was just the translator. So, but once, obviously, I'd formed my own publishing house, that was a completely different story. I got the rights very quickly. But for me, this book is, people who are from that region, or who know that region, are very keen to try this book and to buy it and read it and give it to their kids. But I haven't really managed to break through to, let's say, the common English audience, where someone has nothing to do with this area or no knowledge of it, and just takes it as a story.
European market is very difficult for us to sell rights. I know many European countries, especially German, prefer take rights only for bilingual publishing for Turkish children. They not prefer Turkish books for German children or Denmark children or French children. They prefer to take rights only for Turkish children to teach Turkish very well that live in that countries. So especially I have been attending these fairs nearly for 5 years, and I didn't have any appointment with in England publishers. It's impossible for me, but it is easy, a bit easy with other countries, other European countries, but English, United Kingdom publishers, it's impossible. When I offer, they say we only publish on our books or bestseller from the other European countries.
One of the things Shereen said about seeing the right person, a right person is not going to be the right person, because a right person is trying to sell. So the rights people on the Walker stand are here to sell our books, and it's hugely important for them. They're not here to buy. So there's something we could be doing, perhaps to foster links between editors, the people who could buy books, and other publishers that we're not doing.
But the question is that, do they want to buy? Because the UK market UK publishing is very saturated. Like, there's so many books, and it's very quick, and the cycle is very quick. And I've stayed for some time in Egmont when I was doing my master's. And the amount of manuscripts that the editor receives is really amazing. You know, like the piles and piles of mail and people trying and writing. So.
But I mean, people from the region who've read it have been very, very, very pleased, because I think that the whole spirit of the story is intact, and the rhythm and the rhyme. And that's what I would look for from other translations as well. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact, like you said, that I speak Serbokrat, whatever you want to call it, and so that I can judge the original. But if I couldn't, then I would ask somebody from the region who's a friend to give me their judgment of the translation. It's difficult when you're doing it from a language you don't know. Yeah.